Hello, hello, TikTok. We are live. It is Morgan, the alchemy professor, practicing witch, astrologer, and today is all about the Taurus Stellium that's happening right now. I'll wait for some of you guys to get in here before we start chit-chatting. Alright, so we are going to be talking about the fact that Mercury has just entered Taurus. And the fact that it is joining the Sun, Uranus, Jupiter, and Venus, which is quite a lot. Hello, welcome in. We're talking astrology. We're talking Taurus transits. If those are not interesting to you, then this is probably not your live. But we're talking about the fact that Mercury has finally left not only the Mercury retrograde shadow period, but has entered Taurus, leaving Aries, which finally will end not only Aries season, but all of that Aries energy from the North Node and the eclipses. It's going to be a little bit more calm, slow, steady, chill energy from here on out, so I, personally, with Taurus placements, am pretty excited about that. Do any of you guys have Taurus placements? Do you know? If you guys want me to use your chart to teach the class about Taurus transits, I have a link in my bio where you go to get the featured student appointment, and then I will give you a transit reading for $21, and I will be able to share with everybody how Taurus not only affects you, but the collective. But today is going to be all about the Taurus stellium going on. So it's going to be Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, and Mercury, and the Sun. So that's 5 different planets all in Taurus right now, which is like kind of intense, but in not a bad way, because Taurus is such like a soft like energy usually. Like they have their stubbornness, but they're always kind of seeking like security and comfort and pleasure. So having 5 different planets talking about like how can I feel more secure and comfortable, I mean, you can't really go too wrong with that. Especially after how fiery all that Aries energy is. It's like finally getting to ground and be more practical with our energy, not just like feeling the passion to get things started, but actually having the practical side of like putting things into motion and actually doing things. And so kind of what I like about Taurus energy is that it's, because it is practical, like there is the side of Taurus that loves to rest and loves to savor and enjoy things, but they also like to get things done and be practical. They don't necessarily want to sit around all the time if like things aren't happening. They will take matters into their own hands and be like, well, if no one's going to do it right, I'm going to do it. And so I love that energy for right now, getting all of that like passionate Aries fieriness out of our system and like actually like grounding it. You know how like they tell you that if you have like a lot of anxiety, like you should like exercise because it helps like to get all that energy out? That's like the transition from Aries into Taurus. So it's mainly about like learning how to, when are we going to die? When we are meant to. But with Taurus, it's funny you mentioned that, because that's more of like a Scorpio question, which is the opposite of Taurus. Taurus is more about like never wanting to die and never thinking that death will ever happen, or like not that they don't think it'll ever happen, but it's just like they will avoid it at all costs. It's all about survivalism and like security and feeling safe and like comfortable and like able to enjoy things in their fullest effect with our 5 senses and with our physical body. So that's more the Taurus side of things. So a question like that's definitely going to be more the October, November season type questions. But right now it's more about like how can I better live the energy that I already am living? Like, what can I do with the life I have now to make it actually pleasurable and comfortable and safe and secure and long lasting and worth living? Which I kind of like. If you were here the past 2 lives, we were also talking about Pallas, which is Athena, which is the goddess of war strategy, entering into Sagittarius, which is also about the light and the darkness. So even though it's a very different energy than Taurus, I feel like a lot of the energy right now is like, despite all of the difficulties of life and the harshness of life, how can we find softness and security and joy and reasons for living? And how can we better savor and be grateful for what we all have right now? So with Mercury entering Taurus right here at 0 degrees, we are talking about the Taurus transits. If you want me to read your astrology chart, I have a link in my bio, which is the featured students, because I'm using it to teach other people by teaching you how Taurus affects you. You are so welcome. But yes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in Taurus, so that's quite a lot. Mercury, which is our mind, our communication, and short-term travel, has finally entered Taurus, but it's joining Venus, which is our values. I'm a Gemini sun, Aquarius moon, and Sagittarius rising, but I also have a Venus and Mercury in Taurus, so 2 of my placements are happening right now, actually. What about you? What's your sign? And then Venus rules Taurus, so it's comfortable here and it's been here. Hey, Gemini! We love that. Do you feel like it makes sense to you, like being a Gemini, or do you feel like you don't really fit the stereotype? Do you even know? Like, sometimes people know their sign, but they don't really know, like, what it means. I'm willing to teach and share if you want me to. Uranus is this guy, the little spiky guy right here. And it rules our uniqueness and innovation, and it's been in Taurus for a hot minute. Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering. So Gemini, which is all of these planets are about to be in Gemini in like a few weeks. Like this 5 planet, it's all in Taurus, is going to be till the 25th. Or no, I'm sorry, till the 20th. So for the next 5 days. And then most of these will start entering Gemini after that, which is our birthday sign. Woo, woo. But Gemini is actually all about intellect and communication, but especially in one-on-one, because it's the twins. So it's a lot about like one-on-one bonds and partnerships, and like there's always like that one bestie that a Gemini has. Like even when we have like a lot of friends, there's always like one person at a time that we almost like hyper focus on, and they become like almost like our special interest, right? Like it's because like even though we're social, it's like we're social in the sense that we're curious. Like we want to know more about other people and about how things work to better navigate the world. And so when there is like, so we'll be social in that sense, but then afterward we're like exhausted and we're like, I need to like not think for a second. And so there's that one person who it's just easy to be around, and that's like who we consider like our twin. Sometimes it's just ourselves. Like sometimes we just need a hot minute with ourselves, but there's usually like a one at a time, like that's my bestie, and like I know everything about that person and they're my special interest. But that's what all of these planets are going to head into soon, which will like support our Gemini-ness. Also, your zodiac sign of being a Gemini is called your sun sign. So that's this circle with the dot in it. All of our zodiac signs are sun signs. Sorry guys, this is a solo show. You can join. So right now the sun is in Taurus, so people who are Tauruses are having their birthdays right now because it's their sun sign. But the sun actually rules how we express ourselves and like our ego and pride, whereas like mostly like our personality is actually our rising sign, which is usually like over here in your natal chart. In your natal chart, rising sign is kind of how people perceive you. And if you ever want to know like more about your like chart, you just look it up online with your birth time and your birthplace. But if you want me to look at it for you, I have readings in my link as well. But it's really fun, especially as a Gemini where we love so much information. Like, it's a really fun thing to like dive into, to like learn more about yourself and other people, especially when you get into like this stuff, because there's just like so much involved and it really shows all like the complexities. Yeah, it's like you don't just have like one topic. It's like you as a Gemini, that's another thing with Geminis, we always see multiple perspectives. We don't like to just say like it's one way or another. We're like, well, I don't know, like it could be this or it could be that. Like we try to stay open-minded to things. And that's why I like more complex astrology, because it shows like how it can. Are you talking about Pisces? Right. Aslan, are you talking about Pisces or are you talking about Cancer? Yeah. Yeah, Pisces. Pisces is interesting. Okay, so Gemini up here, and then Pisces right here, Sagittarius down here, and Virgo over here are all called mutable signs because they're the end of a season. Like Gemini is the end of spring, Pisces is the end of winter. And so when we're talking about signs that represent the end of a season, we're always easy to adapt and adjust to new information. So Gemini is always adjusting to new like intellectual information. Pisces is adjusting to new emotional information. That's why everyone thinks that Pisces is super sensitive, is because it's like they are literally sensitive, as in they can like sense when other like emotions are constantly changing and they feel them all as if it's happening to themselves, and they're constantly adjusting and adapting to the new emotional temperature of a space. Nice to see you. Have a good one. Anything on Scorpio this month? Right now, the whole theme of today's live was going to be the fact that 5 planets are in Taurus, which is all opposing Scorpio. Naud, I hope I said that right. Nothing is really in Scorpio right now. We even had Pallas Athena, which is the war goddess, leave Scorpio this week and enter Sagittarius. But all of these 5 planets, Mercury, Venus, Uranus, the Sun, and Jupiter, are all opposing Scorpio. So you're going to feel like all this energy is sort of like at odds with you. Like we have communication, although sometimes with oppositions, which means planets that are in the opposite sign of another planet, which for you would be your sun sign if you have Scorpio. Oppositions sometimes don't necessarily mean like they're fighting with you. Sometimes it means they're on their way to you. So for instance, with Mercury right here at 0 degrees, having just entered Taurus today, it could be like receiving messages about money. It could be like finally getting like a job offer, or it could be like someone who is a Taurus text messaging you because it's something that's like coming at you because it's across the way, like on its way to you. So that would be the only thing for Scorpio right now. Although also, depending on what your Scorpio degree is, which is like all these numbers next to the sign, next to the planets, depending on your Scorpio degree, Pluto is in Aquarius and it would be squaring, which is a harsh aspect, which requires a lot of effort and a lot of hard work in order to like make those energies work together. That's what a square is. So I hope that helped. Let me know if you have questions. Oh, the moon would also be squaring for the past 2 days. So if you've been feeling like going through a lot of emotional difficulty, which is pretty normal for Scorpio, but like a little bit more heightened, that could possibly be why. But let me know your guys' signs in the comments. I'd love to know who all's here. I got the London look. Oh, I love that. I think that's a compliment. I'll take it as one. But yeah, so with the stellium in Taurus right now, we're all going to be focused on Taurus subjects, especially with Mercury there, because Mercury rules mindset and communication. And mindset, I feel like, is a pretty big thing. Like, I don't know why people don't talk about Mercury signs more often when it's literally like talking to each other. It also rules technology. That's why the stereotype of Mercury retrograde is that your like technology gets wonky and starts to like get all effed up. Oh yeah. It's weird to me that we don't talk more about how we talk or how we think. Very important, I would think. See what I did there? But with it going into Taurus, on the mind is going to be safety, security, but also love, romance, and beauty, because it is ruled by Venus, which is also in Taurus, so that's extra heightened right now. You might find yourself like taking better care of your looks or your health, maybe even just getting more into like adding different spices to your food than you normally would, or wanting to eat like old favorites suddenly from like childhood. I find that there's like two different types of Taurus energy. There's the ones that want to go to like a gastropub and like try out like the newest like culinary feat. And then there's the other side of Taurus that has been eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches their entire life and never wants to change that. And like both of those energies are just like so funny to me. But it makes sense because Taurus is what's called a fixed sign. Fixed signs are Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Leo. And it means that it's in the middle of a season. That's why it's fixed, is because it has to sustain the energy of the season. So right now we're sustaining springtime. Aries started it, and then Gemini will end it and adjust it into summer. But to sustain it and keep it going and like have that momentum, Taurus is going to be fixed in springtime energy. So when you have that in your chart, like for me, I have my Mercury and Venus in Taurus. So I like to have things that remind me of like spring energy, which is kind of like anything that is fresh, anything that is like savoring like the beauty of nature. Like I love that kind of stuff. But that's going to be on the mind of everybody. That's very rude to your girlfriend. But thank you, I think. But if you say anything else weird, I'll block you. Uranus, however, is weird because it rules Aquarius, which squares Taurus. And it's been here for a while. It's been here since 2018. But it's innovation in Taurus energy. So we've all been like looking at different ways to be sustainable, different ways to treat nature better. I have a lot of Hope Core stuff on my For You page, and it's like really beautiful to see different ways that people are coming up with ways to get rid of waste and things. So that's really helpful. That's been there for a while. Since 2023, we've had Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter is all about expansion, especially of the mind. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. Ooh, Pisces. Jupiter's not your favorite planet. You know, it's funny because it does have its negative sides. Because if you're expanding something, but it's not a good thing, you're just getting more of a bad thing. So it's like, you know, be careful. I always say that none of the planets are positive or negative. It's just how you personally use them as part of your toolkit. And also it depends on like your certain like placements. For instance, if Jupiter is squaring, like you have like an Aquarius sun or something, then you're going to feel like really uncomfortable with Jupiter in Taurus because it's like literally at odds with your energy. A square is when a sign that has the same quality, fixed, mutable, or cardinal, but they're different elements and different signs. And that means that like they both have the same goal, which is what I was saying before about Taurus wanting to sustain springtime, and like Aquarius is trying to sustain through winter. So they have completely different goals because they're in completely different seasons, even though they're going about life in similar ways of like wanting to sustain an energy. So when it's at odds with each other, it's harder and takes more effort to be able to have those energies communicate with each other. If you have any questions though, I know I talk fast, I am a Gemini. Please leave questions in the comments and let me know your signs as you're filtering in and stuff. And if you want me to look directly at your chart, I have $21 readings in my bio, which is the featured student, and I'll use your chart as an example to teach the class. Today I was kind of hoping to focus on the Taurus Stellium, so if you're curious about how 5 different planets in Taurus will affect you personally, that would be a great reason to sign up for the featured student thing today. But I can also just look in general at the transits because that's the theme of the week. Speaking of Taurus, I have been having to drink tea today. Taurus rules the lower half of the face and the throat. So anything that, like, I notice people get a lot of sore throats during Taurus season. And also, people don't know it, but Tauruses are really talkative. Everyone always talks about Gemini, which we are, but Tauruses are just as talkative. They have so much to say. Hi, Noelle! We're talking about the Taurus Stellium because Mercury finally entered Taurus today. So it's 5 planets in Taurus until May 20th, when the sun moves into Gemini, and then it'll still be 4 planets until I think the 23rd. I wrote it down. That's the whole reason I took notes. Yeah, Venus will move into Gemini on the 23rd, so lots and lots of grounded, practical, secure, seeking pleasure, seeking comfort, seeking beauty, seeking reasons to be happy that we are alive. I always say that that's the main difference between Taurus and Scorpio, is that Taurus wants to savor things until it dies. Like, they will wear like the same sweater until it is one thread, whereas Scorpio will revive something that's dead. That's why they love like vintage shopping and thrifting so much. It's because they want to take something that's dead and repurpose it, whereas Taurus will use the thing forever until it is dead. So, but it's more about like wanting to keep something alive with Taurus energy. But if you guys have any questions or want me to read your chart and see how Taurus will affect you personally, because 5 planets in Taurus is pretty intense for the next 5 days, I have the link in the bio for you guys to go and do that. In fact, I will check and make sure that nobody has, because that would be so funny. But let me know if you guys have any questions about the day's astrology or the week's astrology or your astrology. Yeah. Yeah, I was saying I find that there's 2 different kinds of Tauruses. There's the ones that like go to like a gastro pub, or they're the ones that are like super into like the luxurious things. And then there's the side of Taurus that only wants to do the same thing over and over again for the rest of their life. And it's like, sometimes there's like a balance, like some things they want to do the gastropub luxurious, let's try the new recipe. And then with certain things, they keep the same thing over and over again. But I feel like that's like the 2 sides of Taurus. With my Taurus Venus and Taurus Mercury, I tend to have a lot of Taurus people in my life. I feel like Taurus and Virgo follows me everywhere, although it's been great lately also having all you Sagittarius energies. And then there was a Gemini earlier, so I feel like my sun and my rising are finally attracting people. Yeah, the bougie or the practical, exactly. It's like, I think, because Taurus is all about, like I said, springtime a second ago, it's all about sustaining springtime. But they're also the second sign of the zodiac, and they're just now discovering the world in general. And so if they've had kind of like a healthier upbringing, that means that they, by first discovering, they're more exploratory in like a happy, curious, childlike way. And I feel like that's what leads more to wanting like luxury and like bougie energy, because they feel safe to go out and like learn about it. But if you have maybe a Taurus who like grew up in a more insecure, like financially environment, I feel like they tend to be more on the thrifty and like practical side. and they know how to like make something stretch because they're so good at savoring things. So it just like depends on like the Taurus's environment of like where they were nurtured, but I do find that like it's usually one or the other, which is really interesting to see in action. Yes, if any of you guys want to see how these Taurus Stellium is going to affect you personally, link is in my bio. It's the featured student appointment. But yeah, we have Jupiter will be there until the 25th, and I found it interesting because I learned about Taurus's mythology. I think you were here for that, Noelle, but Taurus's mythology is about how Jupiter, the planet, aka Zeus, became a bull, as he is always some form of animal, to seduce some random woman. What about Leos? The moon is in Leo right now until 5:30. So you will feel like either people are being really emotional around you, or it's easier for you to tap in emotionally the past few days. The moon, I find, also sometimes like personifies things. So sometimes it's like, yeah, that's why I'm high on energy. Exactly. Because I feel like the moon in Leo, I always get like a boost of like confidence or like wanting to be a little bit more extra. So I'm always like, thank you, Leo. That's very nice. So I think for you, the moon being there, it's like a full moon moment if you're a Leo sun. Because the moon will be like with the sun. Oh, I guess that would be more of a new moon moment. Yeah. But yeah, so it's like kind of like that spark of like, what do I want to get started that has to do with how I express myself. But also as a Leo, all of these 5 Taurus placements are squaring your sun sign. So it might feel a little frustrating for you until about, I would say until like the 25th. Yeah, because there will be... Yes! I love that. Yeah, the makeup was makeuping today. I was really excited about that. And then I have like my little, I don't know if you can see them, but I have little roses in my hair for the Taurus energy. I love Tauruses. I'm gonna stay inside then. No, for real though. But like until May 20th, that's when the sun will enter Gemini, which will feel more comfortable for you as a Leo. And then with Mercury, it will enter Gemini in June. So it's gonna be like talking to people might be a bit of a struggle bus. So like taking time to do like self-care and only talking to people that are easy to communicate with, I would highly recommend. But yeah, that's just like my personal recommendation. And then on the 25th, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is going to move into Gemini too, and that's going to feel really nice for you as a Leo and for Sagittarius, and for me, a Gemini. I'm really excited for that one, actually. But yeah, the fact that Jupiter, which is Zeus, is the bull in Taurus, I find it interesting that Jupiter has been transiting Taurus and nobody has been talking about the fact that it should be comfortable there. Even though it rules Pisces and Sagittarius, it is literally what the bull constellation is based off of, is when Zeus, aka Jupiter, pretended to be a bull so that it could like lead this queen astray to seduce her, because that's what he always does. And but what was interesting that I did also find out is that the woman that he seduced was the queen that eventually fathered King Minos, who eventually has the Minotaur as his son. So that's all connected to the Taurus constellation. And so it was funny because the article I read it on described it as like an amorous storyline, and I was like, that's one way of putting it. But it was really interesting for Taurus being ruled by Venus, which is all about love, and the entire mythology is just like endless like love triangle soap opera energy, which is kind of fitting when we were talking about the Helen of Troy stuff to do with Gemini, which is fascinating. I need to learn more. So I know Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, I need to learn Leo. I know Virgo for the mythology of the actual constellation. I don't know if I know Libras or Scorpios. I know Aquariuses, and I know Pisces, and I know Capricorns. So I'm only missing a few, but definitely going to keep up with the content on that one. But if any of you in here want to know about how these 5 planets in Taurus, this little train here, is going to affect you personally, I will look at your chart. You just have to set up a reading in my bio for $21. It's the featured student appointment so that we can use your chart to teach you and the rest of the class. But yeah, the train in Taurus I'm actually kind of excited about it because it's actually ending the Mercury retrograde and the Aries eclipses that we just went through in March. It's like officially over and we're finally able to like relax for a second. Like, I think we were talking about putting out more content on socials during my read. Yes, definitely. For Taurus, it's about doing it slow and steady for putting out content, and making sure that it has to do with practical or love and beauty type things. Oh my gosh, oh, I love that. What was your rising again, Noelle? I don't remember off the top of my head. But Mercury moving into your 10th house is so perfect for social media. I always say that Mercury rules all of our forms of communication. Oh, Leo rising, that's right, that makes sense. Oh, so perfect. That's gonna be like so wonderful for you. Mercury rules all forms of communication and rules social media, but the other sign that rules social media is Uranus and Aquarius. So I guess technically Saturn would have a hand in social media as well because Aquarius rules social media and Saturn is the co-ruler. So that's fascinating. So having structure and discipline has to be pretty important when it comes to social media. Block. Hello. Hold on a second. Thank you. Alright. People are so weird. Anyway. Speaking of Taurus energy, though, that was a very Taurus thing to say. Trines my Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn, and then sextiles Saturn. Oh my gosh, I love that. So Uranus is all about uniqueness, and it's all about innovation, and then Neptune is all about ideals. So like when we're manifesting something and we're trying to come up with like the vision of it, that would be Neptune. And then Saturn and Pisces being that dedication to either our spiritual or emotional health or both. So I really love that it's doing all of that for you. Oh, it is 333. That's my life path number. Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Yeah, perfect timing. Yes. But yeah, I feel like with Neptune being in Pisces right now, I think it's funny because I saw a lot of it on my For You page, but it's the feeding the Delulu. Like, that is Neptune in Pisces to a T. It's very much like, well, what can you envision? And, like, let's make that happen. Like, let's bring that into reality by manifesting and visualizing. But because Pisces is the spirit realm, it's like we see the ideal possibility with Neptune and Pisces, but we need it in the earth realm, which would be Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn. So with 5 planets in Taurus, Neptune's at 29. So yeah, when the Sun and Jupiter are going to be on the 29th degree, that would be a really great time for manifesting, which is actually the 25th for Jupiter, or the 24th and 25th for Jupiter, like before 7 p.m. EST, would be a perfect trine with Neptune. And then with the Sun in Taurus, that would be May 20th instead, or May 19th. So May 19th would be good for manifesting things to do with creative expression. But for when it works out. Yes, exactly. Okay, that's the thing with manifesting, especially with Neptune and Pisces. Plan A. Plan A needs to be just as important as Plan B, because then otherwise you're self-sabotaging. Like, obviously have a Plan B because we're humans and we make mistakes. And, you know, sometimes things just don't work out the way that we plan them to because of divine timing and stuff. But you have to give Plan A a go, and you have to actually take it seriously, or else you're self-sabotaging and you don't actually want it to happen. So that's where Neptune in Pisces is really like testing us, and Saturn in Pisces as well. But Saturn is like, how disciplined are you when it comes to the things that you're actually trying to manifest into this reality? Like, what are you trying to bring in to this world? And what ideals have you been holding that you're not living up to personally? So that's like all that Neptune, Saturn, and Pisces energy. And then that will be sextiling all of this Taurus energy as well. How can I hold the space and discipline for the dream? Yes, which is so hard because I know we're all taught like these fear-based thoughts, and like it's hard with our nervous system because it like our nervous system will literally control like our bodily functions. Like it'll put you into that fight or flight. So if you are not feeling safe to go after things, then you like, it's hard to push past that. It's not impossible, but it is difficult. So that's where Saturn is like, how hard are you willing to work past your fears, past your limiting beliefs to bring in the good? And then Taurus, thankfully, is here to provide some grounded practicality. And now our mind is entering into that Tauran energy as well. But Venus and, I think, are Venus will eventually be conjunct Uranus, and so that will be really interesting because it'll be our values and our innovation side coming together to like bring something new and interesting that like has to do with what we love, or what we find like value or beauty in. When is that? I should have that on my little calendar. Well, it's at some point. Venus in Taurus. I know Venus will be conjunct Jupiter on the 23rd. Oh, here it is, on the 18th. So this Saturday, actually, will be when Venus is conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And then the next Thursday, which is great because that's Jupiter Day, it'll be conjunct Jupiter before it moves into Gemini. So that's some really good manifesting energy up there. Oh my gosh, I felt like I was going to sneeze for a second. Bless me. But anyway, with the Saturn and Neptune there, for you, I find that very interesting with your Mercury going on your midheaven. Thanks. I'm trying to see if there's... The moon's moving into Virgo at 5:30 today, so for the next 2 days, that's also going to be trining all of this Taurus energy as well. And Virgo is going to be adding a lot of like practical details, and like she likes the magic in the mundane, and so does Taurus. They love making real life magical and adding like, when it comes to Virgo, it's more about the ritual and routine and how sacred that can be, and like how magical and powerful doing something intentionally can be. That's very Virgo. And then with Taurus, it's more about like the practicality and the sensuality and the pleasure of being alive. Virgo, it can bypass a little bit of the pleasure if it means that it is practical and like works for the routine and the system that it's trying to do, because it cares more about results. And then Taurus believes that the result is, well, is this pleasing to me? But when they're working together, you can have a system and a routine that is basically having an easy energy with us also wanting to like savor and enjoy our five senses and our human experience. But it's interesting because Taurus rules the second house of self-worth and self-value. So it is also a lot about our energy, because in the second house, it is our money, our finances. And if you break down how we earn money, it is by spending time and energy doing something. So money, as we in the spiritual community all know probably, is energy. And so Taurus rules the energy that is precious to us, that belongs to us, and what energy we want to put into things. And so people can like perceive Taurus energy to be like lazy, but it actually is more of the fact that it knows that its energy is precious and it only has so much of it. And so it will portion things. It'll decide like, okay, I'm going to put this much energy into this, and then that's it, like no more, no less, because that's all that's required to make this happen, to sustain this. And then afterward, it will rest to replenish the energy that it lost. So it kind of teaches all of us that self-care in a physical sense of like replenishing our physical energy to make sure that we have enough to keep going and to live long and to prosper. Exactly. Like, I find that there's definitely unhealthy sides of Taurus, like they can be a little bit greedy or stingy if they are, like I said, nurtured in an insecure environment. But healthy Taurus is a lot about boundaries. They're like, just because you want more of my energy doesn't mean you deserve it or you've earned it or you get to have it, because it's my energy and I get to decide where it is, like what is worthy of it. And if I haven't decided that you are worthy of this time and energy, then you are not going to receive it. The end. And so I like really like look up to Taurus energy in that regard, because they're very good at being like, I am not pouring more or less than is necessary into something, because I never know when the next time is that I'm going to need that energy. Because I've learned like that my body has limits and I like to feel the pleasure within my body and I like the five senses of my body. And if I push it too hard, I get sick, which leads me closer to my life ending, and I don't want that. So I'm going to do anything that makes me feel more happy to be alive and more sustainable. So that's like all of the many planets in Taurus and how they are affecting all of us as a collective for the next 5 days. Which is so healing after the Aries energy, because Aries was all about like, let's get something started, but then like not sustaining or finishing it, just being like, this random risk take, okay, now I'm done. And then like that can cause up a lot of anxiety, because it's like, I want something to be long-lasting and secure, but if it just keeps kickstarting over and over again, like what part of the fire is finally going to catch? So it's like finally putting the Taurus tinder on all of the sparks that Aries has been letting off. And those sparks are necessary because it's the spark of life, but the sustaining of life is when we add all of the tinder of Taurus. And then finally after that, once we have the sustainability of Taurus, sustainability of spring, where we're finally like, oh, things are blooming and like birds are chirping and life is here again. Then we get Gemini, where we learn about it. We go, oh, what does this do? And what does that do? And like, what is this bird good for? And like, is this plant poisonous? They don't give are not needed. Yeah. Oh, I read that one. But yes, so all of that is going to be sustaining us and helping us out in being practical, which is really nice. And then we finally get to feel like we're getting stuff done and we're actually able to ground all of our passionate ideas that we had during eclipse season and then during Mercury retrograde as well. Which is interesting because Mercury retrograde is all about old ideas. And then now it's like, not only is it in springtime, which is about like fresh, brand new stuff, things that are just being born, but it's like, are we bringing a rebirth energy from the eclipses in the Mercury retrograde, or are we finally like letting all of that go and going into a completely fresh, brand new slate with Taurus? I guess it just depends on like your chart, etc. Wondering. But if any of you guys have questions, I think it might just be you and me, Noelle, but if anyone else is sneakily in here and has questions, please feel free to ask. I am going to be filling up this time anyway because I like to use these clips to share on my profile eventually, so that'll be fun. But let's look at the notes that I had for Taurus. I think earlier I mentioned that it rules the lower half of the face, the 5 senses, and the throat. So sometimes people can end up with sore throats during Taurus season because they are not speaking from their heart, or they are not, or they're speaking too much and they're not knowing when to like, it's okay, you don't have to say that. Like, there's a time and a place. I feel like that's the energy of Taurus and Gemini, kind of, but especially with Taurus, because they're known to be a little bit quieter, they are more so on the end of like, remember to speak up. But I do also know a lot of Tauruses who are extremely talkative, and it's almost like the other end of that spectrum of like wanting to constantly like express anything that's off the top of their head. Like they just finally like, they're like, you know, I had this for the first time and I want to tell you about it. In the tarot, it rules the Hierophant card, and the Hierophant card is like represents like a cardinal or priest. Yeah, like a little kid, like the four, like, which is funny because then I think Gemini is kind of like the kindergartner, like after the toddler age. Like the toddler age is like, why? And then like Geminis are very curious, but I feel like they're finally like solidifying the knowledge, like they're learning like the numbers and the letters type thing. Whereas like Taurus is kind of like the toddler age beforehand that's like learning the boundaries of things and like why can't I do that, and like I'm gonna do this anyway and I'm gonna throw a tantrum if I can't, and like on the unhealthy spectrum of it, of course. The babbling toddler, yeah, exactly. They're like, I learned letters today in general and la la la. yeah, and then Gemini is like, I learned actual sentences. But yeah, so anyway, I feel like that's like kind of the difference. And then Taurus is like the kid who like they only want to eat the chicken tenders and like that's it. They don't want to eat anything else. Where it's like Gemini is like more exploratory, so they're like, oh, let's try this other thing actually. Like I'm curious about like this new food and that new thing over here. But yeah, it's interesting that it rules also like basically from here down, because it's all the receptive part of the face since it's ruled by Venus. So it's like all of that like receiving energy to receive like nourishment. So I think that's another reason why people can see Taurus as kind of like either like selfish or greedy in its unhealthy aspects. But in the healthy aspects, it teaches us that we're all worthy of like receiving in general, and like receiving like the nicer parts of life. Like we all deserve to be able to like eat a home cooked meal and to observe the beauty of nature and to be comfortable and like pleasured in our bodies. And like that's like where Taurus kind of comes in and is like reminding us like, you know, you are supposed to enjoy the physical part of the human experience. Like, it's not meant to be torture all the time. Like Taurus is never gonna be the one who's like at the gym killing themselves. Like, they will be at the gym to like to feel good in their bodies and to feel like healthy in their bodies, but they don't want to push it too far. And like, that's more like Aries energy from beforehand. But Taurus generally is more about like, how can I feel good in my body, in this vessel that's going to carry me throughout life? Like, how can I make my body last a long time? How can I make my body healthy? And how can I feel good within this vessel for a very long time? And it's also why they rule beauty, because it's also like, how do I enjoy like expressing my physical body while I'm here? I mean, Venus is all about love and about values and about like positive sensual experiences. And so it's like, how do I embody that physically? And everyone's going to have a different answer to that, which I think is really cool. That's why it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, is because yes, it is about beauty and it is about the five senses, but it's not like the one size fits all. It depends on like the rest of your chart and the rest of the planets transiting your chart to actually be able to solidify that answer for you. But if anyone in here wants me to look at their personal chart and how Taurus is going to be affecting your transits for the next 5 days, because it's going to be 5 planets in Taurus affecting us all as a collective. There are readings in my bio. This is random, but how was it for you? So you started putting yourself on the social media more. So when I first got into social media like this, like TikTok, I started actually on Instagram first from 2018 to 2019. And then I went into TikTok August of 2020, and I was on Witch Talk back when it was like at its height, and that was actually really fun, but it was really scary at first. It was funny because like even like doing lives like this is on TikTok is new for me, but I've done a live on Instagram before, but TikTok lives are new for me for this year. But actually filming on TikTok took a while for me because I had to overcome a lot of, I have my Chiron in Leo, so like being perceived as like performing and not having like a reason or intention behind it besides it's just fun and I want to, like I had a lot of like hang-ups about that, especially because I have an Aquarius moon, so I'm very much like, I don't want to like be like perceived as like seeking attention or anything, but now I'm like having to be comfortable with the fact that like everyone deserves attention. Everyone deserves, like that is literally like a psychological necessity as a human being, is to be paid attention to. And so doing things that require having people's attention is not a bad thing, especially if you're using it for the right reasons. So I found the thing that gave me the most strength was 2 things. 1, practice, because the more I did it and showed my ego that it was safe to do it, the less my ego had to say about it, because it was like, oh, you did that and it was fine. Like, no one died, no one tried to like do anything bad or whatever, like it all worked out pretty well. Okay, interesting. So I'm providing my ego with evidence. And then the other thing is always having an intention that really matters to my integrity when I am posting. And that makes it, again, harder for my ego to try to get in the way, because I can silence it with like, well, somebody needs to hear this. Like, and another weird thing with posting on social media, especially with my face, is that my posts that don't have my face don't do as well. So that's also really weird. But that's like something I think that like the universe was trying to like make me see, was that like people want to see you because they want to know you're a human being. Especially right now with the height of AI, I think while Pluto is in Aquarius, it's about finding humanity in others and like connecting with the humanity of others. And so we have to show each other that we are humans and not just computers that are posting things on the internet. Especially like the better that it gets at like seeming human. And that's also where we get to embrace like our flaws and our uniqueness and like not aim so much for like perfection, because perfection can make people think that it's not real. So everyone's like really searching for authenticity right now. And like that really helped me be more on social media, was like, okay, people want my authentic self. They don't want me to be perfect. They don't want anyone to be perfect right now. They need to hear what I have to say, not because like I myself am solely important, but also just because the experiences that I have are experiences that somebody else is having. And like when I went through my experiences, I personally felt very like alone in them. I did not have anyone in my life to validate my emotions or like be there for me. And the only people that were there for me were like videos that I saw online of people having gone through similar experiences. So if I get to do that for someone who's going through something that I have been through, I'm gonna do that. So I hope that helps. But like definitely having like a reason behind why you're doing anything, like having like an intention that suits your integrity and your purpose and like what feels good to your soul, really helps with posting on social media, because it's like it's less about like being worried you'll seem cringe or like worried about what people will think about you, because the right people need to hear what you have to say and need to see your face and need to like hear your words and learn your wisdom and your experience, so that they know that they're not the only ones who went through it. Yay, okay, good. Yeah, because I think like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as humans to like, especially on social media, to like come across as perfect all the time. And like I do this too. I have a Virgo midheaven. So like showing up here anything less than my perception of perfect will literally have me like sweating. Like if I notice that like something is like uneven or I misspelled a word or something, like I will remember that forever. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Doing my best out here. I've literally had my ass kicked by the universe several times. Oh, your Chiron's in Virgo. Are you 94, baby? Because I know a lot of 94 Chiron Virgos, but I also know 95 as well. That's my sister. Yeah. Yeah, Chiron and Virgo, you guys can be so hard on yourselves because you grow up in environments that don't provide you any sort of routine or structure, so you create it yourself for fear that no one else will create it for you. And then you're like really hard on yourselves thinking like you're parentified really early. And so it's all about learning self-care and slowing down and like softening and allowing yourself to have other people take care of you as well. I know you guys don't like to ask for help, but the important thing about being, yes, oh my gosh, yeah, with all that Capricorn energy too. Yeah, Capricorns hate asking for help as well. So, hold on a second. Yeah, Capricorn, Virgo. It's funny because that Taurus is really good at asking for help. Because like I said, they don't pour extra energy into things, they pour just the right amount. And so if they poured their right amount and the thing isn't finished yet that they're working on and like they need somebody to help them finish it, they're more than willing and capable of asking. Oh, hi Malia, how's it going? We're talking about the 5-planet Taurus Stellium. Do you have Taurus in your chart at all? Mercury just entered Taurus and it joined Venus, Uranus, the Sun, and Jupiter. So quite a lot of energy in Taurus right now. 3 times? Oh my gosh, yeah, I only have 2, but it's my Mercury and my Venus. Which Mercury and Venus are now there, and then Mars and Aries I also have. So it's like, it feels like it's just like I can be myself right now pretty easily, which is really nice. Hopefully that's how you guys are feeling as well. But But yeah, I feel like with I forgot what I was saying with the Taurus. Oh, because Taurus rules the lower half of the face and the throat, it's so much better about like receiving than the other two signs. It was so nice to see you, Noelle. Have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to see more of your content. I know you're going to do really well at it. Hi, Shadow Witch. By the way, Shadow Witch, what is your name? Unless you want me to just call you Shadow Witch, I'm totally cool with that. Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn in Taurus. Oh my gosh, wow. So you're having your Jupiter return right now? That's so exciting. And it's almost over too. I saw someone saying that when Jupiter is in a sign, that we don't fully receive Jupiter's gifts until it is like at the last degrees, because it's been like accumulating, so to speak. So we should all be feeling like the effect of Jupiter in Taurus leading up to it going into Gemini. So from now until May 25th, we should start feeling like the Taurus Jupiter energy. And then when it moves into Gemini, it'll start all over again. Rhonda, okay, nice to meet you, Rhonda. Thank you for joining me. Also, if you guys want me to see how this Taurus Stellium or any of the other placements are affecting you personally, my featured student appointments are only $21 and they're in my thing, and I use it to teach whoever's on here as well as you about how the transits are affecting you and how to read them and stuff. But I have been studying Taurus for the past few days. I've been looking up its mythology, and Jupiter, who is also Zeus, in the mythology is the bull that is Taurus. So it's interesting that it's been transiting Taurus this whole time, very comfortably so. Like, I think people thought it would be more uncomfortable because it rules Sagittarius and Pisces, but the fact that it literally is this constellation, I think actually makes it to where it is really comfortable and actually helps us to expand our physical vessels, like whether that's our bank accounts or our bodies, or like the way in which we can soak up and savor the world through our five senses. Oh my gosh, I love that. Happy birthday. A happy belated birthday, possibly. And Taurus in your first house. Are you a Aries rising, though, even though you have Taurus in your first house? Just curious. But yeah, it's interesting because it also, with Mercury having moved into Taurus today, yes, okay, I love that. Aries risings. I love that because that usually, unless you have an incepted house, means that all of the signs are like comfortably in the houses they're meant to be. So it's always fascinating to watch how transits affect you because it can be so literal. April 25th. Oh, yay! Okay, yeah, happy belated birthday. Yeah, Mercury just entered Taurus at 1 p.m. today, and it'll be there till, wrote this down, until June 3rd. And then it'll enter Gemini with Jupiter and the Sun and Venus. But with Mercury entering Taurus, it's more about like finally completing Mercury retrograde's energy, but also completing the Aries eclipse energy. So like literally the only things that are in Aries right now are Chiron, the North Node, and Mars. But Mars wasn't in Aries during the eclipses, so it doesn't really have any of that residual energy. So it feels more fresh and calm, and like we can relax, and like we can finally get practical things done. Aries is like the kickstarting of like the inspiration. It's all of the ideas constantly coming in and flooding in. And so it like instigates us to get stuff done. And then once we are like, okay, like I want to get this started, I want to get this started, I want to get this started, and we're like writing down all of our ideas, we start to get a little anxious because we're like, I want to act on this, I want to make this practical, I want to make this happen. But you can't really, like, you can take action with fire, but you can only physically manifest in earth. So when we're in earth seasons, even though it's a slower energy, it's because we're taking something from the ethereal and grounding it into the earth and that takes a lot of like alchemical energy to do. So I was talking with Noelle earlier how we have Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. Neptune and Saturn in Pisces are all about what is your ideal world, and like what is it that you're trying to bring in, like what is it from the spiritual realm that you're trying to ideally manifest, like staying Delulu. And then when you have that sextiling Taurus, meaning that they're like alchemizing together, working really well, that finally physically grounds and manifests all of the things that we have been Saturn disciplined about, and Neptune staying positive and like idealistic about. Like what is it that you have been dreaming up that you would like to bring into physical reality? All 5 of these planets are going to be really helping us actually put practical action to things. But the problem is that after Aries, that can feel really like challenging, because it can feel like a little frustrating because it's slow. Like, you know, you plant a seed, you've done a physical action, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow you get the fruit. So it's like we're putting in the physical actions, we're getting the practical manifestations of things, we're seeing the leaves on the trees and the flowers happening. We know it's coming, so we have more hope and we're able to like savor the world around us a little bit better. But at the same time, it is a slow and steady natural progression. However, because that is only for a season, by the time we get to Gemini, I'm so glad this is resonating, by the time we get to Gemini, things are really speeding up. And we're not only manifesting in the physical, but in the intellectual and communication. So that's when you finally start to like receive opportunities. Like people will email you offers and opportunities, and they'll want to get to know you and connect with you. And like when Jupiter enters there, that's going to be expanded upon. It's like more and more people, more and more connections than we are accustomed to, especially the past year or so, is going to like start flooding into our reality. Like talk about like the DMs and the notifications and the text messages and the phone calls and the social stuff. Right now, I would highly recommend with this 5-planet Taurus Stellium that everybody slow and steady and rest when you can, because by the time Venus, the Sun, and Jupiter enter into Gemini, we're gonna wish we rested more so that we don't get sick. Oh, thank you! Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but there's a dragon on my belt. So I definitely feel very like whimsical, mystical, piratey vibes. And then for Taurus, I put little rosettes in my buns. And then I have, this is a dragon claw with like a little crystal orb. And then this is the magician card. And this is the Gemini constellation. So all about the details, especially with all the Taurus energy. It's funny because like we talk about the details with Virgo. Rest, lol, I'll try. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So I already even feel it like in my throat. I've been having to like drink tea because I've been live all week and filming content. But with Taurus, if you don't rest, the universe will make you. Like, hands down. Like, Taurus is like, I love all of my Taurus friends, but you guys get sick so often. Like, you're either super healthy because you treat your energy correctly, or like, but the moment you overdo it, like at all, immediate illness every single time. It is kind of comical to see because I'm like, I'll like see like someone being like, oh, I had to stay later than usual, and the next day they have a cold, like immediately. Yeah. like whatever it takes for the universe, because the thing with Taurus is it's work hard, rest hard for Taurus. It's all about like, I know that I was talking about this with Noelle. I don't know if you guys were in here during that time, but it rules the second house of our values and our finances. Like, and your finances equate to the energy you've put into something. Like that, like if you're working a 9 to 5, you gave 8 hours of your time and energy to something and received monetary return. So money is your time and your energy. And so Taurus rules the worth of your energy. And thus Taurus is very understanding of how much energy to put into something, that like it knows exactly what is required, and it will not go above or below. Like it won't underdo it, but it also won't overdo it, because it knows innately how much energy is required for something to happen, and it knows how to replenish that. That's why it's all about like nourishment, and why they're so obsessed with like food and rest and like luxurious, soft, comforting things, because it's resting like the nervous system and the body so that it will sustain your life force for as long as possible. That's why it's opposite Scorpio, which is about death energy. Taurus is all about life energy. How can I live as long as possible? Going hard and hardly see a day off. I wish for you a beautiful paid vacation. Because I think that anyone with Taurus placements, everyone in general should have paid vacations, but anyone with Taurus placements especially, if you're working too hard, you deserve some rest, because you're the ones who teach us how to rest. And if you're not resting, then who are we learning from? I'm curious if either of you are projectors as well, because that's also a lot about rest. Yes. It's funny because I have my Taurus Mercury and Venus, and I think they're in my throat, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm a manifesting generator as well. And it's funny because even though manifesting generators, it's like we do, we go, we go, we go, we also have to like replenish that energy. Like you have to recharge the generator. Like there's a lot more energy than other people have, but that doesn't mean that it's infinite. And so it's like you do have to refill the well, refill the cup, pour from the overflow. But I feel like especially with Taurus, with 5 planets in Taurus, it's very much about like, but it'll be supportive of it. Like up until now, you've probably been working hard because there have been so many planets in Aries. Hi, Brenna, welcome. But yeah, there have been so many planets in Aries that I feel like you've been like firepower, like go, go, go. Oh, you first, I love that. Oh, 3-5, same as me. Yes. Brenna, we were just talking about the Taurus placements in human design, because of how all of these are going to be affecting us learning how to rest, but also to work hard, like to work hard, rest hard. Yes. So it's interesting because even as an MG, you do need to like refill the well and recharge the battery. And I feel like all of the Taurus placements here are going to be really supportive of that. But also with it sextiling Neptune and Saturn is really helping us to ground all of our manifesting ideas, like all of that spiritual energy that we have been harnessing through our discipline and through our like Delulu manifesting ideals. Whatever we're trying to make happen magically, we're getting a boost with all of this Taurus energy. Yeah, it's so funny. She's like, my ears were buzzing. And then with Jupiter, for the last few degrees, when it enters 29, it'll be directly sextiling Neptune. That's going to be so beautiful. That should be on like the 24th. Yeah, you summoned me. That should be on like the 24th, which is going to help us. It'll be an amazing day to do the physical, practical applications of what you're trying to manifest, whether that is through physical embodiment or like taking any sort of like physical steps. For instance, like if you're wanting to become a musician, actually trying to record the music, that would be really great on the 24th. Anything practical, anything physical, we're taking all of that ethereal energy and we are grounding it into our physical realities to help us with our expansion just before Jupiter goes over to instead expand upon our connections and intelligence. Okay, love that. Drive safely. I will be your podcast along the way. But yes, and then the sun will be there with Jupiter in Gemini as well. And then Uranus will be in Taurus still, but it will be conjunct Venus this Saturday. So we'll have some innovations to do with what we love and what we value. Maybe something surprising that we love or value will appear in a very good and benefic way. And then with Mercury being in Taurus, we are finally completely done with the Mercury retrograde and eclipse energies. Goodbye, farewell, so long, I'm so happy. But if any of you guys want me to look at how this Taurus energy or Neptune energy or anything in the chart is affecting you personally, the featured student appointments are $21 and they are in my link tree. So, hey Peaches, it's been so long. Do you have Taurus in your chart? I feel like you do if I remember correctly, but it's been a while. But yes, good news to walk into. Yes, so I love that the Mercury retrograde energy is over because I think we all deserve a mental break. Like, I think we all deserve to not have to constantly be the warrior. I understand that the North Node of Destiny is there until January of 2025, but every once in a while, we human beings need a literal physical break from all of that firepower. Like, it's like, I get it. Okay, we have to fight and self-advocate, but can I please just like eat my favorite food and stare at a tree for a second? I have it in my chart, but I'm surrounded by Tauruses. Ooh, I'm so curious. What's your big three? I wonder if there's like, or your big six, like your Venus and your Mercury. I wonder if you have something that like draws us in. Because I have Taurus, Venus, and Mercury. So I also tend to attract a lot of Tauruses and Virgos for some reason. Not as much Capricorns, even though that's my North Node. I don't meet that many, but they're also one of the rarest signs, so that tracks. Are you a Capricorn? That also seems familiar, but I can't remember. Cap Moon, okay. Aquarius Sun, Libra rising. Oh, I love that. I'm an Aquarius Moon, Sagittarius rising, and Gemini Sun. I was like, what did I forget to say? So I love that big three. I think I remember us having compatible big threes. But if you want me to look at your transit chart, I'm doing reading appointments. It's called the featured student because I'm teaching everyone about transits and stuff. Yes, we got all of that air and earth going on, which is such an interesting combination because I always see it as like dandelion seeds, how they need the wind to help them plant themselves in different places. That's how I always feel like air and earth sign people are like, is like, we still can ground, but we also need to be able to like adjust our environments every once in a while. But yes, so all of these planets, we have Mercury that entered into Taurus today at 1 p.m. and then we have Venus, so our values. Uranus has been there, it's our innovation, but our values and Uranus are going to be conjunct this Saturday, and the next Thursday, Venus will be conjunct Jupiter, which is amazing because it's going to be like, Jupiter is going to be expanding upon love energy. Like, oh, such good vibes. And I feel like we all really need that. I'm really happy for all of the Aries energy because it helped us do brave things and it helped us like self-advocate or fight for ourselves. And like, it's hard sometimes when you have like boundaries that you need to uphold. Hey Gabe! It's hard when you need to uphold boundaries without that firepower behind it. Especially if you're like me and you don't like conflict very much. It like helps you kind of like push forward. During this Aries Mercury retrograde eclipse season, I moved 2,000 miles away. So, like, talk about needing some bravery. Like, so I was like, it's me and my cat, and we're moving across the country. So it's like, I don't like conflict, but I'm adept at. That's the thing, is like, I feel like most of us who don't like conflict, it's because we are so used to it that it's kind of like exhausting at this point. It's like, I would like to finally have a break, which is what all of this Taurus energy is all about. Like Mercury here entering in at 1 p.m., I feel like our conversations are going to be more practical and our thoughts are going to be more practical. It's all about like, okay, we had all this inspiration and all these ideas in Aries season. How can I ground that? How can I take it from the ethereal and make it physical and practical? Oh, I always forget your husband's a Taurus. Yeah, the luxury of slowing down. It is also, I said it rules the lower half of the face and it rules the throat. So it's all about receptive energy. So it's all about like nourishment and also the five senses. So like listening to things that are pleasurable, smelling things that smell nice, tasting things, eating things that feel good to the body. Because Taurus doesn't like having unpleasant experiences. So Taurus is like, if I ate something and it made me feel bad, even if it was just that it tasted bad, I'm not eating that ever again. So I kind of love having all of this Taurus energy, although for those of us who have like that ambitious side of us, yeah, the Venus ruler energy, for those of us who have the ambitious side, it can feel a little frustrating because it's also very slow. It's about that energy of like, I planted the seeds, but that doesn't mean I get the fruit tomorrow. But very quickly, a lot of these are moving into Gemini, where we will start to see the results of our actions through communication, like getting like job opportunities or getting like people who will contact us or connect with us, networking, all of that kind of more socializing. So resting while we can right now is going to be so freaking important, because it's like when Jupiter especially expands upon Gemini, our ability to socialize and connect with people, and it's going to make us have like more and more like one-on-one energy, like over and over and over again, like for a year. It's like, rest while you can. My MG self and Aries moon do not appreciate having to slow down. I had the exact same thing. I'm like, I have an Aries Mars, an Aquarius moon, and a Capricorn North node. They all want to like go get shit done. But then my Taurus Mercury and Taurus Venus are like, it's kind of nice to slow down and relax a little bit. Or just, I think for most of us right now, it is actually about healing our nervous systems, because having to go through so much bravery with all of this Aries energy, and we still have Mars in the North Node and Chiron here, so it's not that we're completely letting go of that firepower. It's just that we're also allowing our mind and our heart and like our ways of expressing ourselves to relax a little bit, to slow down, and to like believe that if we do slow down, that the opportunities will still be there when we catch up to them. Like, I feel like a lot of us, especially with the way society is, feel like we have to rush to be able to succeed. And Taurus reminds us that that is not always the case. And Taurus reminds us that sometimes, like, well, all the time, your timing is always correct. You're never going to miss the bus, because if you miss the bus, it wasn't your bus. Granted, there's the other side of things where people can be a little unhealthy with it and like use it to never do anything, and Taurus is still gonna get shit done. Taurus is work hard and rest hard. So it's not just rest hard, it is also work hard, because then afterward it like savors the fruits of its labors. So, and for those of you who just came in, I do still have spots available until 5, although I can stretch it a little bit if you want, for the featured student appointment, where I can read your transits to see where Taurus energy or Gemini energy will play out in your chart, or any transit that you guys want me to look at, because that's the theme of the week. But yeah, they're only $21 and they're over in my link tree under the featured student appointment. But yeah, with all this Taurus stellium energy, and then it's interesting. So we'll have this 5-planet Taurus stellium until the 20th. So for 5 more days. That's when the sun will move into Gemini. Then we'll still have 4 until the 23rd. So this Taurus energy is going to be like for the next basically week and a half. And then it'll all start to move into the quick and intellectual Gemini energy. But it's fascinating because I was looking up the mythology of Taurus, and it is when Zeus became a bull. You were here for this yesterday, Gabe, but I just find it interesting because Zeus is Jupiter and Jupiter's in Taurus. So when it's at the 29th degree and it is going to be sextiling Neptune, which helps with manifestation, Jupiter is natural in Taurus. It wants us to have as much pleasure and enjoyability in our human experience as possible. So when it is being emphasized by Neptune, which rules our dreams and our ideals, in Pisces, which is the spiritual realm, it's all about taking what we want from the spiritual realm and grounding it and then having that expansion. So it's very much, I was just mentioning dandelion seeds. It's kind of like having a giant rainstorm on top of a crop field and getting to see all of those crops actually flourish and get all of the nutrients that they need and be like, oh my God, I'm actually going to have a full harvest this year. That is the energy of Jupiter sextiling Neptune, which will be on the 24th. I think that same day, hold on a second. I think that same day, oh no, the day before is when Venus will be conjunct Jupiter. So we'll be able to tap into what matters to us and what our values are, conjunct Jupiter. So we'll be able to say, oh, this is what I really want to expand upon. When it sextiles Neptune the next day, we'll be able to tell the universe, hey, water this crop. This is what I want. And then it will hopefully show up because Jupiter takes a full year to grant the full gift of it being in that sign. So we usually don't see the full results of Jupiter in a sign until it has reached the critical or 29th degree. And then it'll move into Gemini. And instead, we will start to learn about the gifts and fortune of networking, communicating, and getting to know people. So lots and lots of socializing for the next year, which will be fascinating. But yeah, soak up all this Taurus energy while we can. Just got a paid request. I love that! See, that's the vibe. That's the energy, is whatever we're trying to grow or expand right now, whatever crops that we want to finally yield fruit, that is what, oh shit, I just realized. That's the crop, that's what we're going to be bringing in. Okay, cool. Into our world and stuff. Yeah, love and blessings, y'all. Oh, I don't know if you left, but if you left, goodbye. But yeah, so if anyone else is still in here and wants me to do a transit reading, I still have them available for another half hour. We're mostly talking about transits, but if you want me to just do a general reading or synastry, I also have that as well, but it would be under the featured students appointment. So let me know. But yeah, lots of really good benefic energy right now. Interesting. Also, anyone in the chat, let me know where Taurus is in your chart if you know, or what your big three is if you have that as well. But with Taurus, let's see if there's any other fun facts. I put down some words that I feel align with Taurus energy, and that would be savoring, security, self-worth, self-value, understanding how precious energy is, and working from that mentality, stability, practicality, slow and steady, grounding, and it will be grounding the passions of Aries into the physical world, because it's taking the first house message of I am and turning it into the second house message of I have. So it's like, I am this, and this belongs to me. Because once I know my identity, it is easier for me to see my identity reflected in my reality, and it's easier for me to see what is worth my energy because I know what my energy is. But until you have figured out what your energy is on a unique signature level, you're not going to be able to know what belongs to you or what you belong to, because you're not able to see your personal energy in order to really see its worth. So we went through Aries. I am, this is what matters to me. I'm going to fight for and advocate for this because like it belongs to my existence, and it is like my first breath, my insistence that I belong here and I'm worthy of being here. And then we have our self-value here, and it's like, this is what I bring to the table, and this is what I do that matters to me, and this is what belongs to me, and I don't have to share with other people because it is mine and mine alone. And then when we enter Gemini, it is what we share, especially intellectually. It is, oh, I'm actually really curious about what you have. Can you tell me more about intellectually what's going on for you and like how you feel, and like I had this berry over here, but how was your berry? Tell me about that. And I'm taking notes and I am learning. But before that, with the I have with Taurus, it is still a little self-focused. And I always say with all the signs, every sign is necessary for all of humanity to learn. So it's like with the first house, it is like important that we have moments where it is all about us, where it is like, you know what, I need this, I am self-advocating, this matters to me, I exist, I am allowed to take up space. Then in the second house, I have these things, this belongs to me, and that's okay. Like, and that's where all of these planets are supporting us, is like, what belongs to you? What is yours? What crops are you yielding from your personal energy? What have you poured your energy into and thus can receive from the universe and from nature and from your world? And then in the third house, we finally get to share that information to help further along our survival. Basically, from the first house all the way up to the 8th house is about survival, and then from the 8th to the 12th is more about like understanding death and how we as humans work within that framework. But in the 7th house, from the 1st to the 6th house is also personal pursuits, things that matter to us. So we have I am, I have, I know, because of knowledge with Gemini. Then we have Cancer, I'm pretty sure I belong, because it's like your home. And then the 5th is I create, because it is the creativity house, aka like childbirthing house. It's like what we can literally manifest from nothing. And then in the 6th house, I forgot what the word is for, but it's like our routines and our habits. Probably I do. That would make sense. But then in the 7th house, it's about other. It starts to be like our one-on-one relationships, and then it goes from there about learning how to bring ourselves into the world and interact with other people. But if anyone has snuck in here that wants to get a reading, I have transit readings available right now under the featured student. You just go over to my Linktree, and they're only $21. I am making it today to be about the Taurus Stellium if you want something to respond to as a topic. But if you have your own personal question about astrology, tarot, spirituality, let me know when you set up the appointment and we can work on that instead. But right now it's all about the Taurus Stellium, with Mercury having entered Taurus today at 1 p.m. And I keep mentioning it, but Taurus rules the throat, and I've been having to drink tea because I have been live the past 3 days and my throat is like, can we have a little bit of a respite, please? But I'm trying to slow and steady build momentum on here, so it's been great to have you guys around for my first few lives on TikTok. It's been really fun. Anyways, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Ground the passions of Aries. Yeah, we're definitely finally done with those eclipse seasons and into normal lunar cycles. We had the Taurus new moon really finished things, but I feel like Mercury leaving Aries completely also helps it leave the Mercury retrograde and thus the Aries eclipse energy completely. Because that Mercury retrograde was rough. Trying to think, rules over at the face. 5 senses. It also rules the 5 senses, so if any of you have been inspired to cook, to make music, to like go to new restaurants to try new foods, to go to art galleries, to change up your beauty routine, to stop wearing fabrics that feel so itchy, those are all very good things to do during Taurus season. Anything to do with love, beauty, or money is going to be extremely supported right now with it, because Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and the Sun are all benefic planets, so they all have a very lovely, happy quality to them that talks about like the better parts of life. Uranus is neutral, but it is shocking, so there's always going to be a surprising energy. You might find that like you try a food you've never tried before, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, why have I never tried this before? This is like my new favorite food. Or, oh wow, I suddenly really like this genre of music. Or, it's interesting, I've always had this romantic type, but now I'm learning that I actually prefer this romantic type. But it's like something that will feel like surprising when it comes to things that are stable or traditional or practical. Or I've noticed ever since it moved into Uranus moved into Taurus in 2018, and I've noticed that ever since then, we as a collective have been more mindful about climate change, about sustainability, about finding ethical like face care, beauty brands, clothing. We've been learning a lot about how fashion makes the greatest amount of waste in the world, which is interesting that we kind of started to really hone in on that as a collective. We've also been more harsh towards celebrities, particularly musicians. Ever since Uranus entered Taurus, we've been canceling a lot of musicians. I can think of a certain Scorpio right now, if you know, you know, who's under fire for being a creep, and that all is opposing Taurus and also squaring Pluto and Aquarius, so that tracks. For anyone who is in here and listening, thank you for being here. But it is also about the desire to receive comfort and pleasure with Taurus. They are also very great gift givers because they know what the human experience tends to enjoy. Like, they understand like what the 5 senses are searching for on a general universal perspective. Like they know that like most people like soft blankets, you know, most people like good smelling candles, like most people, you know, it's like not everybody, but like most people like certain things that are generally pleasurable, and so they tend to be very good at gift giving. Also because they are such an abundant sign, ruled by Venus, and in an earth sign, which is like our physical realm, Venus is going to bless all of her Taurus babies with the ability to be financially secure, particularly when it is your sun sign. I don't know what it is about Taurus suns, but they all, like, every single one that I know is constantly like, they'll worry about money and then 2 seconds later get a paycheck. It's so funny. I'm like, why were you worrying? You got money like 2 seconds later. You're gonna be fine. You're like, that's never. Tauruses have other things that they need to learn and worry about. Money is definitely shouldn't be one of them. And if they are worrying about it, they are completely off path with who they are as a sun sign. Tauruses are also, because they work really hard, they're the bull who like tills the field. They love to build things. They love to work with their hands. They love to cook. They work hard, they rest hard, they want to enjoy the fruits of their labor, but that does mean that they will labor. They want to see something that they put their energy into pay off and like have that satisfaction. Desire to give and receive comfort and pleasure. Thus, they love life's luxuries, both big and small. That's one thing about Taurus, is they can be bougie, but they can also enjoy the small things in life as well. Like, I know so many Tauruses that you go for like a walk with them and they'll be like, isn't the weather nice? Like, and they genuinely mean it. They're not just saying it as small talk. Like, it really genuinely matters to them that the weather is nice or that there's a cool breeze or something. Or you go shopping with them and like they love finding stuff on clearance because it's like, ooh, I don't have, even though I could afford more, I don't have to, and that means I get to save up my money, thus my energy, to use towards other things. And like they really enjoy and are grateful for things like that. And gratitude is such a great way to manifest that. I feel like that's why Tauruses are so good at physically manifesting things, is because they can tap into gratitude. And this will be supported by Saturn and Neptune in Pisces sextiling all of this energy. Because Saturn is like, how are we working hard to make our dreams a reality, with it being in Pisces? And then Neptune in Pisces is like, what do you want to have as your dream reality? And all of that is being supported practically with the practical work hard side of Taurus. Taurus is like, okay, I want to be a singer-songwriter or a movie star. Well, that means that I need to take care of my voice if I want to be a singer. That means I need to take lessons, I need to rehearse, I need to write music. Or if you want to be a movie star, I need to practice scripts, I need to audition, I need to get an agent. So it's like, what are the practical steps towards those big, lofty Piscean ideals that you have? That's where Taurus is coming in. And then Aries was, okay, like, this is what we emotionally want with Pisces, but with all the Aries energy, it's like, okay, like, let's get it started. Let's do the brave thing. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. And then once we've ripped off the Band-Aid, Taurus is about like, okay, now we have to take slow, steady, practical steps, because if you overdo it, you'll burn out and self-sabotage. So it's like, how can we do it slow and steady and making sure that we are having strict energetic boundaries where we are putting it towards the things that matter and not putting it towards the things that don't matter. It's 444 for anyone who that is a sign for me, I guess. But yes, building, working with hands, cooking. A lot of Tauruses are obsessed with food because it contains 2, sometimes 3 if you count texture, of the 5 senses. So like it helps us. It also nourishes our body, and Tauruses are very physical creatures. They care a lot about how their bodies can pursue pleasurable pursuits and comfort. And food is a very easy way to do those things. So they tend to love food and beverages and wearing soft things and feeling pleasurable things. That's very Taurus energy. Yeah, I feel like that is most of Taurus energy, and that's like what's going to be happening with Mercury is that we'll be thinking and communicating a lot about it. So we'll be talking a lot to people about Taurus energy, and we're already like towards the end of learning what it is that we value when it comes to our comfort and our security and our pleasure and all of that hard work and paying off type energy. And we've been innovating it since 2018. So any sort of brand new ideas that you've been having since 2018 in your practical realms or in love and beauty realms, those ideas since 2018 will be paying off by 2025 when it finally moves into Gemini. And then Jupiter is going to help us with our expansion. And it's been helping us expand in the realm of Taurus for the past year. And Jupiter is actually more comfortable there than people might think. If you missed out on my explanation, Jupiter, which is Zeus in Greek mythology, Zeus is the bull in the Taurus constellation. So it has been very comfortable in Taurus for this past year, trying to help us pursue the things that we love, the things that we value, the things that we find important to pour our energy and our time into. And it has been doing that, like I said, since 2023, and it will do that until the 25th of this month when it moves into Gemini, where it will instead be teaching us how to expand upon our one-on-one connections and our knowledge and our intellect and our communication and our networking. If there's nobody in here asking questions, I might cut the live a little early because I have a bit of a new sore throat, which is very Taurus energy. So my throat is warning me if I overdo it that I will be punished. So I'll just check and see if anyone wants to take the last 10 minutes for a reading. Otherwise, probably gonna sign off here at the 4:50 to go. I worked hard and then I'm gonna rest hard, so we'll see what happens. But I'm very interested to see how this affects the collective for the next 5 days. I have a feeling we're gonna see a lot about Wall Street, a lot about music, and a lot about beauty and finances and romance, which will be interesting. I'm very curious because like we've had these four already sort of in that energy, which is why I think we've been seeing a lot of like cancellations of musicians. But with Mercury there, it's like we haven't just been feeling it, we're also going to be talking about it and thinking more about it. So I feel like we'll see more of like what we've been working on in this area actually being discussed in public forums, like TikTok and like Twitter and like Instagram. I'm trying to think for Taurus. I feel like Instagram's a big one, but also TikTok, because TikTok's about music and Taurus loves music. And then, because it rules the throat, so singers, and it rules the five senses, so listening to music. And then with Mercury, words, so Twitter. But then also Instagram, because it's pretty things usually do better on there, like aesthetically pleasing things. But yeah. All right, I think I'm going to sign off. Thank you everyone who showed up today for this live. I'll probably go live again tomorrow, same time, to talk. We can either talk about all of the Taurus transits, or we can talk about manifestation tips, but I will let you guys let me know tomorrow, and have a great day. I hope if you work hard, you also rest hard, because it is Taurus season, full effect for the next 5 days. But have a great one, and thank you for being here.